Hey Islanders, welcome back to another installment of Islander Robotics. As always, I'm Will, and today's video is going to be the basics behind building your very first machine learning model. So sit back, relax, with your favorite snack, and let's get started, shall we? The very first thing we have to talk about is where can you possibly get your very own data set? Do you have to make it? Do you have to pay someone? No and no. Surprisingly, there's a lot of data sets open to the public. And recently, a book that I've been reading and taking a lot of notes from is this book, O'Reilly's Hands-On Machine Learning with Skitlearn and Keras in TensorFlow. This book is a really good resource to have, and inside of this book, it shows you a lot of data sets that are open to the public. All right, so we're going to actually be using one of those data sets. It's the California housing data set from matplotlib. All right. So the data set is open to the public, as well as I mentioned to all of you what data set we're going to be working with today. What is the next part of this video going to be about? It's going to be about downloading this data set and then turning this data set into a function so that you can manipulate this data set however you want within your code. All right, and I'll show all of you that in today's video. But the very first thing we're going to do, and I also recommend all of you to be doing the same thing as me, which is I'm going to actually start a brand new directory just for this series. And the reason why I'm saying for all of you to start a brand new directory or a new project is so that at the end of this series, a lot of you will have your very own file that all of you can go back to and rely on when you're working on machine learning code. So we're going to just go over to new project. All right, so we got the brand new project up on the screen, and you notice I have a main.py. We're actually not going to use the main.py right this second. We're going to go make a new one, and we're just going to say house data. All right, open that, and all right, so we got the Python file all up on the screen. Next thing we're going to do is we're just going to import the files. We're going to need the we're going to import the libraries. We're going to need the OS library. We're going to need the tarfile library. We're going to also need the pandas library. We're going to need request from the URL library, from urllib, import request. All right, so we have the libraries all set. Next thing we're going to do is now start assigning the necessary variables. We're going to need a download variable. And I have the link for the download over here. And the next thing we need is a variable for the path to the house. All right, so house path. So this is the path for the directory inside of our computer. So we're gonna name it house path, and then equals os.path.join. So we're saying we want this path joined in with this code, and we're going to create the path we want is data. We want house. All right. Next we're going to do is we need the download link for the data set. So we're going to say house URL equals download. Spelled that wrong. Download. All right, now, yes, download is the main link for the whole website. What we're going to do is we're going to add on that little piece at the end of the URL that we need for the data set to actually download the data set onto our computer. Now we're going to just do plus, and then now actually type in the rest of that URL. So it's going to be data sets housing, HOU housing, and then HOUS housing.tgz. Now we're going to create the function for this data set. Def data. We're going to pass in two arguments, the URL, which equals house URL. And the other argument we're going to add in is the path. So path equals house path. And then, so this data set up here, this path up here, doesn't actually exist per se, so we're going to make it exist right with this one command, os.makedirs. Actually, we want this one, make dirs, and then the name is going to just be path, and then we're going to use, this variable, this has to be equal to true, true. So we have that directory. Next, we have to make another pointer to the to the file that we actually want to open, which is going to be this tgz file. So tgz path equals os.path.join, and we have to use, so above we could use, so right here, this data and this house, you could have made it whatever you want. You could have made this Joe and you could have made this Smo, all right? But this one has to be very specific. We have to say path. The first argument we have to pass in is path, and then we have to also add in housing.tgz. So the path I'm talking about before is actually the path that we've just passed in. So housing path is this path right here, right? I'm not going to make some big long explanation. This path right here is the same path as this one, all right? Space. And then next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to download this. We're actually going to download this file to our computer with request. So up above, when I said from URL import request, do not do import URL, because if you do that, urllib is actually a very big library, and it is a lot easier for you as well as a lot easier for your computer if you just import the request instead of the whole library itself, so you can make this a lot smoother of a process, because we only really need one command from this library, which is the one we're going to go over right now, which is request.urlretrieve, and then we're going to pass in URL, and we're going to pass in tgz path. All right, so the first argument is the actual URL, and then the second argument is where this file is going, which is the tgz path. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to open this tgz file with house.tgz. All right, equals tarfile.open, and we're going to pass in the tgz path. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to extract all that so we're going to next implement a command to extract all the information from that tgz file. So we're going to say house.tgz.extract all. And we're going to need to specify one thing. We're going to need to specify the path. So this first path is the path that's implemented from the library tar file. The next path we're going to be talking about is the housing path. So path equals path. All right, simple way to remember it. And we're going to just close this tgz file. Just close this tar file. So house tgz dot close. Now, all right, so you can leave the code just how it is, right like that. However, when you import this function into another file, you're going to have to do one more step. So instead of doing the one more step in the other code, why don't we just do it right here and now? And it's really just two lines. It's csv path equals os.path.join. All right, and we're going to pass in path, and we're going to pass in housing.csv. All right, and then we're going to return pd.read csv path. All right. Now we just say house equals data, and then go bada bing, bada boom. All right. So the data set is over here. The data set's right here. Click on this, open it. The camera's right in that corner. Sorry. But we're going to go over to housing CSV. Click it, open it, and I'm just gonna click on data, and we're going to see that this thing has 10 columns, 10 corresponding pieces of data for this data set. We have longitude, latitude, housing media, total rooms, total bedrooms, population, household, median income, median house value, ocean proximity. Now, for most people, you would think all you need to be able to do is just see this data set. I mean, just to be able to see this into the CSV file and understanding the code that way. However, there's tools you can use to actually make it a lot easier for you. Things like, let me just come into here, and we're going to import that data set that that function that we just created. We're going to import that right into here. We're going to say import house data. All right. We're going to use house equals house data dot data. All right. We're going to that's the command we need to import that function into our code, and I can show all of you. Print house dot info. All right, let that run. I think I forgot something. Yes, I did. Oh, it ran anyways. Let's run it again so that all of you can see. What? Oh, I'm still running this one. All right, run main. I was still running the other function that we just worked on. All right, so we have the data set right here. You can see it. This is another cool thing. Info is a very cool thing to have. It brings up the number of columns. So 0 is longitude, latitude, housing media, total rooms, total bedrooms. So instead of just open up housing.csv, you could have just typed this in and see all of the different types of columns. Now, there's another way to do it. There's another way to evaluate your data. You can do, well, first thing we're going to also do is just import matplotlib, import matplotlib.pp as plt, and we're going to say print house.describe, print house.head. And there are many different other types of functions, but these are just some of them. And then house.hist. So you can do the same thing we're about to do also on Jupyter Lab, where you can create a histogram out of your data set with the matplotlib without actually calling the matplotlib until later. So bins, we're going to say equal 50, and then we're going to say fig size equals, let's say 20 by 15. All right, and then we're going to say plt.show. All right, we're going to call the matplot library to actually show it. And also, like I said, besides info, describe, or head methods, there are many different types of methods, but I really just want to show you a few of them, and then I'm just going to hit Control R. And like I said, this is just the beginning of what you can actually do to actually visualize your data set. But it's not the only way, so I don't really want to go into too much information about info, describe, or head, because there's 2 lines of code you really have to memorize, and it makes your life a whole lot easier. And that data set is pandas profiling. So import pandas, profiling, and we're going to say data equals pandas profiling dot profile report, and we're going to pass in the house, house, and then we're going to say data dot to file, and we're going to name the file house.html. All right, so hit run it, and as all of you will see, the housing.html file is going to have a whole boatload more information about this data set than this graph over here, as well as these functions, and it'll make it a lot more clear to anyone really. Alright, so it is back. We're going to open it up like this. Come on, open up, open. Why are you not opening? There we go. I want to minimize you. Alright, so minimize. And now we're going to open this up on Google Chrome. Alright, so this is the HTML file up on the screen. Yeah, it's horrendous, right? You can't understand a single thing this thing is saying. I'm just kidding. Compared to this, it is a lot easier to understand. And I will be going over all the information that this file gives you. But if you made it this far in this video, you are awesome, and thank you so much for finding this video so interesting to watch it all the way this far. I will be explaining the information that this file gives you in my next How to Understand Machine Learning. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about machine learning, please consider that subscription button as well as that bell icon so you can get notified when I post my next video. Just letting you know, my next video will be about how to program with Python, because I also got a little series going on about that. So if you want to know more about Python, please consider watching those videos. I think you all really enjoy those videos. And I really hope all of you enjoyed this video as much as I had fun making this video. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that like button. Also, the link to this book will be down in the description bar down below. I really do recommend this book if you're trying to learn machine learning or artificial intelligence. Please consider getting this book. It is a really good resource to have. The link will be down in the description bar down below, as well as the code. All the code that I went over in today's video will be down in the description bar down below. If you have any questions about the code or machine learning or Python or anything in general that you think I can answer, please consider leaving a comment down below. I'll be glad to answer if I can. Alright, before I sign off, to my subscribers, to the Islanders, thank you so much for taking the time to hit that subscription button, hit that like button, commenting on all my videos, watching all my videos. You all are the real MVPs, and I can't thank you enough. And with that being said, I will stop talking now. I'll see all of you in next week's video. Bye.